Greetings ladies and gentlefish, and welcome to another subscriber replay. Both of the games in this video are going to be courtesy of My Name is Puffs, and he's another one of the EU forumites. I say that as if I'm an EU forumite, though I must admit I haven't really been on the forums in quite some time, just haven't really had the time. Anyway, he sent me a number of games actually, and usually those games are either in artillery pieces, yeah, I know, or really unusual premium tanks. So that's what we're going to have in this video. We're kicking off proceedings with him driving the M4A1 Revolution French Tier 8 premium medium tank, sometimes also referred to as the Ravioli or the Super Sherman. It is basically a Tier 5 Sherman tank with a 105mm gun plonked in the turret. Now that 105mm gun actually gets higher alpha damage than most of the 105mm guns at this tier. Usually a 105mm gun at Tier 8 packs 320 alpha. This one packs 390 and comes with 200 penetration, I think, with its regular ammunition, and its regular ammunition is APCR. Its premium ammo is heat, and the pen goes up to 250 with that. But at the end of the day, it's still basically a Tier 5, Tier 6 Sherman. Might have a big gun, still a Sherman. So your armor is terrible. Because you've got such a big gun, your gun depression isn't actually all that good. It's not the most loved machine in the game, let's put it that way. But nonetheless, we're going to see how well Puffs can do driving the thing. So he's already, I should actually mention, if I haven't already, I can't remember if I have, getting senile in my old age, he is platooned up with Schmidt, and they're on the, what's the name of this map? Windstorm map, and they're top tier, so it's a Tier 8 game, and Puffs just managed to pick up a kill on that poor defenseless ELC. That's just bullying. 390 alpha, 400 hit points on that tank, and the ELC even has the audacity to complain about gold ammunition. I assume he's complaining about the ammunition, which just goes to show his ignorance, because the Ravioli fires APCR as its standard ammo. Do find it amusing when people get that muddled. And Tiger 2, hello Mr. Tiger, you're going to consistently take damage because you're giving people your sides. And yes, Mr. ELC, 400 damage in one shot. That is correct. If you think that's silly, take it up with Wargaming, but that is what the Ravioli does. Think of the guns being a bit like the BL9 on the IS-3 and you won't go too far wrong. But it's a medium tank with terrible armor, essentially. Anyway, that's kill number 2. As he manages to secure the Tiger 2. Schmidt has taken a little bit of damage in his STA-1, but is managing to wreck artillery. Puffs isn't going to bother trying to pick up the kill, because, well, as it turns out, the Hummel has his number. I think he was expecting Schmidt to take the guy out. If the Hummel hadn't, Schmidt most likely would have done. Scoreline is 6-4. So the game isn't going too badly. Now, Windstorm is one of those maps, it's been introduced relatively recently. Hello, Mr. T-34. Ooh, but he does take a big hit there from the IS-3. Snapshot for the win. Yeah, it hasn't been in the game that long in the grand scheme of things. And as a result, it's a map that I don't personally feel all that comfortable on. And on the one hand, the IS-3 snapshotted Puffs, but then Puffs can't really complain too much as he got quite a lucky shot through the IS-3, and he switches out to heat ammunition here. I assume to make sure he can deal with these Soviet heavies. 200 pen with his regular ammunition, I reckon, should be sufficient to deal with them anyway, but he just wants to make sure, I guess. And IS-6. Now, heat ammunition isn't actually all that great against an IS-6 a lot of the time. Quite a lot of the sides of that tank are covered in spaced armour, against which heat ammunition doesn't tend to do all that well. There's another hit from the IS-3 that just takes out Puff's tracks. And there you can see the wonders of heat ammunition as it just goes pop on the tracks and doesn't go through. I really think Puffs would have been better off here just sticking with good old-fashioned APCR. And apparently Schmidt is having trouble with, there we go, with artillery. And as soon as he's firing APCR again, he manages to pick up the kill. I mean, against these Soviet heavy tanks, there is a desire to switch to your premium ammunition just to try and make sure your shots penetrate, but with all the spaced armor and magic side armor they get, often, if your premium ammunition is heat ammo, often it's not necessarily the best choice. Anyway, looks like the IS-6 has fired. Puffs is just lining up a shot on the lower front plate. Actually hits the upper front plate. Now, the driver's hatch of that tank used to be a weak spot. I think this game is from before the IS-6 got buffed. But as it is, it doesn't matter. Puffs is able to take the guy out with a shot through the commander's hatch thing. And I should point out, Puffs clearly does alright in this tank, as he's sitting on 2 marks of excellence when he plays this game. So that was kill number 4, the IS-6 there. There's 4 of them left on the enemy team, there's 4 of them left on Puff's team, and unfortunately Tank Schmidt has been taken down. T-20 flubs his shot and then decides to come back out for some more action. Hello. I think people really, at the time this game was played, didn't appreciate how hard the gun on the Ravioli hits. And there we go, there's kill number 5. Because they really do seem to not be respecting the 390 alpha that it has. Would you poke out like that in front of an IS-3? If you would, you're an idiot. If you wouldn't, well, don't do it in front of the Ravioli either. It's a big, big gun. Anyway, with that guy down, that leaves the T-71, T-34-1 and T-44, but Puffs is the only regular tank left on his team, the other 2 being artillery. We've got a Hummel and a GW Tiger P. And Windstorm, you know, has a reasonable chunk of its map taken up by a Tau, and in those sort of regions, artillery, not exactly the best, but T-71 and T-44 coming from across the other side. Nice lucky snapshot there to take out the T-71. Not before the T-44 was able to finish off the GW Tiger P, but all the same, you know, I'm pretty sure we'll take that. T-44 and T-34-1 still remaining therefore. Now, we know where the T-44 was last spotted, and for this gun, the T-44 is a 2-shot. Don't know what gun the T-44 is using. Probably the 100mm gun. That tends to be the gun that people use, and once again Puffs is switching to his heat ammunition, presumably because he wants to try and make sure of the penetrations, but once again I would caution that it can be problematic. It depends on the target you're shooting at. Against a T-44 that is going to have pretty, you know, it's got suspension and tracks acting as spaced armor, and its regular armor isn't that good anyway, I would probably be tempted to stick with the regular ammunition myself. Now we know the T-34-1 isn't that far away because he was the one who managed to get the killing shot, the last bit of damage, onto the artillery there. And I think there's a little bug with the base capture timer thing there. Earlier on it was reporting like a 3-minute time for base capture, and that was a little bit lucky, that bounce. But this isn't an encounter game, so that's just daft. Now, like I said, very lucky bounce there from the T-34-1. It would take 3 shots, assuming both these guys are using the 100mm gun, and the T-34-1 doesn't get a bigger gun. But it would take these guys 3 shots between them to take Puffs out. Puffs needs 1 shot to take the 34 out, and 2 shots for the T-44. So it's a bit of a dicey situation. Well, you know, the team are going, go decap, don't go decap. The problem is, if Puffs goes around to reset the cap, he can very easily get himself surrounded, and that could be quite bad. And he wasn't completely pushed for time. He had some time to spare. Another lucky snapshot takes out the T-34-1. And that just leaves the T-44, who's gone off early. And Puffs is closing in for the kill. Now this is where we get a slightly dubious situation, and there's that heat ammunition again. but the T-44 only tracks Puffs. So this is a dodgy situation. Puffs can't repair his suspension. The T-44 for some reason just sits there, and Puffs flubs another shot. This is what I mean about the heat ammunition. Unless you've got nice big flat surfaces to aim at, heat ammo, not necessarily the best. T-44 is using the small gun, thankfully in this situation, because it means that Puffs has the alpha damage advantage, which he takes, well, advantage of. And now it will take the T-44, on average, 2 shots to kill Puffs. Puffs just needs 1 more shot to take him out. And there we go. The game is over. Voila. Let's go and have a look at those post-battle results. And here we go with the results screen. That was an ace tanker for Puffs, along with Bruiser, Duelist, Fire for Effect, Defender, right there, for getting those base reset points, High Caliber Top Gun, and the Radley Walters Medal for those 8 kills. 5,219 damage done, 8 kills, 1,648 base experience. If we have a look at those the breakdown of the results, 21 shots fired, 21 hits, 17 penetrations, 5,219 damage done, most of which was from relatively close range. Received 8 hits, of which 4 penetrated and 4 did not. Those 4 that did not was pretty darn lucky. 250 damage blocked by his armor, 1 enemy vehicle spotted, 10 damaged, 8 destroyed, 24 assistance damage, all the base defense points, and travelled 2.72 kilometers. Now, this is where things get a little bit interesting. The Ravioli is, of course, a tier 8 premium tank, so it gets very good credit making. So, 92,608 credits received. This is with a standard account. Repair for the vehicle, just shy of 9,000 credits. Consumables, 23,000. Puffs, I think, was using coffee, so fair enough. Ammunition resupply costs 54,000 credits, and that's because Puffs fired a few of those heat rounds, a good number of which didn't penetrate, meaning that his total profits were 6,500 credits. Now, and, you know, you can see the experience there. Now, my only criticism really of this game, Puffs is a good player, and he played a good game in this, but my only criticism, and I said this before, was the usage of the heat ammunition. I know I keep banging on about it, but heat ammunition has a place, and against the targets that Puffs was trying to use it, I don't think it was really the best ammunition choice. And as it was, I think those 4 rounds that didn't penetrate, all of them, or at the very least 3 of the 4, were all heat rounds. He probably would have had more success with just the regular ammunition for that gun. So that's about the only thing I would say in that situation. If his premium ammunition choice had been APCR and his regular rounds had been armor piercing, it wouldn't have been a problem, but those heat rounds can be very, very temperamental. Anyway, regardless, a very good game, nicely played, so let's have a look at another one. Here we go with the second game, and as I mentioned, Puff seems to like sending me replays of unusual premium tanks. So in this game, Puffs is driving the STA-2, that's the Japanese tier 8 premium medium tank. Now, although the game client shows him as being in a platoon, this was a platoon that was made during the game. It's not one that Puffs originally turned up with. So Virilitas and Senior 1954, they're not people, as far as I'm aware, that Puffs knows already. Now, the STA-2 is a bit of a strange tank. It's gone through a couple of iterations since it was first introduced. Basically, when it was first introduced, it was criticised for having poor penetration on the gun, this 90mm gun. 185 pen. Now, for a tier 8 medium tank, I mean, I've been playing this game for a while. I remember back in the day when 180 pen on a tier 8 medium tank was, well, I mean, it wasn't great, but it was kind of par for the course. It was what you expected. And since then, we've had tanks like the STA-1, Centurion Mark I, and a variety of others with higher penetration. So, at the time when Puffs played this, I believe this tank had been buffed once, and that was buffs to its soft stats on the gun, the on-the-move accuracy and things like that. But since this game, this tank has actually been buffed again, so the penetration of the gun has gone from the 185, I think it is. Yeah, 185 that we've got here to a shade over 200. I think it's around 210, 218, something like that. Hello, Mr. FCM. So, this is a tier 8 game. Again, Puffs is top tier. Hello, Mr. IS2. Unfortunately, that didn't penetrate. And as I say, he's driving the STA-2, and we're here on Abbey, one of my least favourite maps in the game. And one thing you may again notice is that, well, again, with the relatively low penetration on this gun, it's perhaps not a huge surprise that Puffs is packing quite a lot of heat. Of his ammo loadout, 23 rounds are high explosive anti-tank, there was about the same of armor piercing, and 3 rounds of high explosive. So it'll be interesting to see if he uses that heat ammunition and if he comes into the same sort of problems that he did in the Ravioli before, where he just... ooh, there we go. Where, you know, heat is, well, unreliable, and that was an issue. So IS-3, nice shots into the bum. There we go. Can he get a couple more before the IS-3 turns to look at him? It's not clear whether the IS-3 actually knows he's here or not. He probably could have taken a shot through the wall there. Sorry about that. In order to damage the IS-3, but manages to take out the Cromwell instead, which is fair enough. Yep. Now the valley on this map, not valley, sorry, the Abbey on this map that the map is named after. It's a very strong position if you can get into it relatively unmolested. As it was early on in the game, Puffs and a few friends were able to take it. But overall, it's only really useful if you're in a light or medium tank and you can successfully take the region. So if you notice the enemy team has a lot of the medium and or light tanks on your team, you're probably not going to be able to take the Abbey. And that might make life slightly more awkward. Now Puffs, again, like the Ravioli, at the time when he played this, he actually has 2 marks of excellence on the STA-2, so he clearly does reasonably well in it, despite the fact that it's not a particularly well-liked machine, and again, it's not well-liked because of that, what was considered relatively low penetration. Now if we look at how this game has gone, the Allies have taken the centre ground, and there's a bit of a fight going on the 1 and 2 lines, but the enemy team have fairly successfully pushed, that was a bit unlucky, pushed down by the riverside. Now, the riverside itself is not a particularly great location on this map, but there we go, the enemy team have successfully taken it, and for some reason, the Allied team have decided that what they really need to do is, well, sit in the camp circle. Sorry, I got that the wrong way round. Why was I saying that the enemy team had successfully pushed down the riverside? I meant the Allied team seemed to have successfully pushed down the riverside. My apologies. Not the enemy team, but it's a kind of dodgy position to actually push down if we're going to be honest. From the other side, the 1 and 2 lines, especially in conjunction with the Abbey, you can kind of control a lot of the rest of the map, but you can't do that from that riverside. It's just kind of, it's like the valley on Lakeville. It's not a position from which you can easily affect the rest of the map. Now, Puffs is switching to his high explosive anti-tank ammunition here, but one thing you have to bear in mind is that Puffs only has 7 rounds of armor piercing left anyway, so you can kind of see why he's doing that. Heat round takes out the OI, Japanese tier 6 heavy tank, and he switches back to armor piercing. Now you might say, why was he using a heat round on a tier 6? Well, it's the OI. I know from experience the OI is perfectly capable, I probably should have aimed that shot a bit better, perfectly capable of taking out, of bouncing, 170, 180 pen guns, especially from distance, which is what Puffs would have been shooting at him from. So I can totally understand the use of that heat round, actually. The OI is, as far as tanks go, more than a little bit stupid. There we go, IS-2. Now if we look at how this game is going, it has gone very far south. The scoreline is 8-12, and Puffs, an E25 and a Type 58 on the friendly team, find themselves arrayed against another OI, an ARL-44, Tiger 1, IS-2, ISU-152, Tiger 2, and FCM 50-ton. Yeah, they're a little bit outnumbered, which is problematic. So Puff switches back to the heat ammunition. Again, hey look, it's an OI and that's a wall, you can't do much about that. But as they're actually lit up and the guys on the friendly capture circle aren't, Puff decides to switch his attention to the enemy capture circle. One heat round out, switches back to the armor piercing. He's not using the heat ammunition all over the place. He's just using it where he thinks it's, well, sensible to use it, which is, well, a sensible thing to do. Unfortunately, the guys who were on the enemy capture circle, Puffs couldn't really shoot them before they got unspotted. E25 has just gone to a better place, which just leaves Puffs and the Type 58 versus 7 enemy tanks, about half of which are top tier. This is really not looking very good. Puffs gets spotted, and there's the ARL. Puffs manages to trade shots with him. ARL also using a 90mm gun, or I assume he is, and there's a Tiger 2 as well. This is not a particularly good situation. Puff switches to the heat ammunition here, which is perfectly sensible because the armor piercing is not capable of reliably penetrating the Tiger 2's lower front plate. Puffs is trying to side scrape, but takes a hit in the process. The STA-2 is not really built for side scraping. He does, however, manage to kill the Tiger 2 into the bargain. That just leaves, I was going to say it just leaves this ARL-44, but actually there's an FCM 50-ton as well. Now, Puffs has fired, and this FCM backs off for reasons that I do not understand. Yeah, sure, the FCM bounced on Puffs, got a bit lucky, and there's another bounce, but he's just backing off and giving Puffs a chance to reload, and therefore a chance to take these guys out piecemeal. Another little bit of luck there as the shot goes into his tracks, and another one. These tracks are eating an awful lot of shots. And Puffs finds himself alone against the bad guys. Now, if the enemy team had any sense, they'd all rush over here and just bum rush Puffs, and Puffs would die. But if the enemy team would have had any sense, they'd have rushed him as soon as he fired the gun there. FCM comes around the corner, backs off, and as a result, Puffs has reloaded. This really is an exercise in ineptitude by this FCM and this ARL. There we go, FCM is dead. The ARL should be rushing Puffs to kill him. Or at least put a shot into him. Nope, never mind. So Puffs is just going to rinse and repeat, and there goes the ARL too. There's 6 kills. 4 of them left on the enemy team. 14 rounds of heat ammunition left, and oh Christ, that's a Tiger. Puffs goes off a bit early there, understandably, and tries to side scrape again. Now, this tank is not really built for side scraping, but hey, who am I to object? Puffs has had some success so far. Right, 2 more shots to finish off the Tiger. Okay, now 2 more shots. He was on slightly more health than I thought, and now Puffs is dead, except he's not, because the Tiger manages to completely screw up that opportunity, and now Puffs can just kill him at his leisure. 3 of them left, and that's kill number 7. Puffs should have died several times by now, but oh, I should point out Puffs has 2 marks of excellence on this gun barrel as well, so he clearly likes or does well in this unusual, generally considered pretty shoddy tier 8 premium, much like the Ravioli before it. As I was saying, Puffs should have died several times over, but he got a bit lucky, and he's using that luck. A little bit lucky, firstly, in that his tracks have eaten so much damage, but also in that the enemy team have displayed a supreme lack of competence. They really are making a horrible meal of this. So, the OI is now a one-shot. I mean, look, they could literally just have grouped up and come at him all at once and Puffs would be dead. Instead, they just completely waste this opportunity. Now, Puffs knows the OI is around here. Hopefully the OI isn't pre-aimed at him. No, for some reason the OI decided what he needed to do was turn his turret and move and all that jazz. And there we go, there's kill number 8. 2 of them left, IS-2 and an ISU-152. Now, there are 6 rounds of heat ammunition left in Puff's gun. What we don't know is how much health the ISU-152 and the IS-2 have remaining. It is possible that with the ammunition remaining to Puffs, he cannot actually physically kill these last 2 tanks. He also doesn't know where these 2 tanks are. So trying to chase these guys down is actually a rather risky proposition. Ignoring the fact that he's on 399 health, just for a moment. So, Puffs is making his way to the capture circle. And yeah, sure, the enemy have said the IS-2 is AFK or a bot, but we don't know that. No, he's not making his way to the capture circle. I apologise, I thought he was. Oh well. At this point, I would be making my way to the capture circle because of my really low ammo count. On the one hand, Driving into the capture circle is announcing your position to all and sundry, which is a problem. On the other hand, however, the amount of ammunition Puffs has got, as I've said, there is no guarantee he's going to be able to kill both of these guys off. Even assuming he gets ideal engagements. Now Puffs, I think, a little gung-ho here in believing what the enemy team has said and when they say that this chap is stuck over by the water. The other reason for capping here is that there is less than 3 minutes of this match left. And 3 minutes, not really enough to chase down 2 tanks reliably. So I would really be capping here. Just to make the most of it. Even if Puffs goes and finds the IS-2, and even if the guy is at J8. Firstly, there's no guarantee that he is, but even if he is, there's no guarantee that Puffs is going to be able to chase down the remaining ISU-152 in the time he has left to him. So he's doing what I think is the eminently sensible thing, and sitting in the capture circle. I'm just going to speed this along a little bit. We'll see if anyone turns up. Little bit tense. Just the ISU and the IS-2. There's 50 base cap points. 70. 80. 90. 98. 99. And there's the cap win. Voila. Game over. Puffs victorious. Let's go and have a look at the post-battle results. So here we go. Ace Tanker, Bruiser, Duelist, Fire for Effect, good lord. High Caliber, Top Gun, Invader, of course, Radley Walters for those 8 kills, and a Kolobanov's medal for being outnumbered 1 versus 5, at least, and still managing to pull a win out. Now some may say, oh yes, but he capped, he didn't kill them all. Yeah, it was the right thing to do. Once you total it all up, that was over 6,000 damage done in a tier 8 medium tank. That's a lot. 8 kills, 1,725 base experience. And the enemy team, that FCM and ARL right at the end, they just threw the game away at that moment. It was just embarrassing to watch. Anyway, 41 shots fired, 32 hits, 29 pens for that damage count, most of which was from relatively close range. 720 damage blocked by his armor. Having received 9 hits, of which only 4 penetrated. 100 base capture points, 19 base defense points. Damaged 12 of the enemy team, killed 8 of them. And once again, because he was forced to fire so much heat ammunition, though in this case it was basically because he ran out of armor piercing, although that's a tier 8 premium match, not a lot of money made. With a standard account, just shy of 9,000 credits. With a premium account, that still would have been 60,000 credits. You can really see the difference that a premium account makes there. If I were to critique any of it, I personally would have capped a bit sooner, just to be on the safe side. But as it is, you know, Puffs managed to make that work in the end anyway. He shouldn't have done. If the FCM and the ARL had 3 brain cells to rub together between them, Puffs would have died. But apparently they didn't. Puffs got a bit lucky at various points, and voila. Keep trying, keep fighting, have a little bit of luck on your side, and suddenly you can turn around some really ridiculous games. Anyway, couple of games there from My Name is Puffs, driving some premium tanks you don't see very often, and I don't think I've ever featured on this channel before. The M4A1 Revelarice and the STA-2. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to send me your own replays, then upload those replays to whatreplays.com and send the URL link to that replay in a PM to me on YouTube, and I shall take a look. I prioritise those people or those tanks that we haven't seen before. So you may look at the games you've just seen and think, oh my god, my games haven't been anywhere near that spectacular, but you know, just by being someone new, a new face to show. If you've got a reasonable game or something in a game you're particularly proud of, I try and make some space for people like that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, by all means feel free to catch some of my other videos and or subscribe to my channel, and I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao ciao.